Welcome back. In episode 10 of the Blue Lock Season 3 summary. Remember to watch the previous episodes if you haven't seen them yet. And now, let's begin. Isagi could not hide his shock. It was clear that Hyoma's level had risen to an astonishing degree. Although he had always relied on speed, his style had completely changed. Isagi admitted to himself that Hyoma had become a complete player capable of creating his own goal without any external support, and that his speed now felt like a second attacker accompanying him in every play. Hyoma explained that what had happened earlier was known as the Golden Formula, which he had reached through a deep understanding of his own convictions and physical abilities, then succeeded in determining the steps that would lead him to his destined goal. After that, he trained his body and energy to be able to apply that formula under any circumstances. He told him that this was the true secret to transitioning from amateur level to true professionalism, declaring his determination to climb to the top of Blue Lock and confirming that he would not wait for anyone who lagged behind. Isagi and Kunigami remained silent. Hyoma's words were advice, but they came out in a scolding tone. Isagi felt uncomfortable and said he had never thought of developing his body in such a way. His training had always been only to keep up with Bayern's players. He praised the philosophy of the Premier League and found it interesting. At that moment, Kaiser approached and asked Isagi if the red-haired player was his friend, saying he liked his level and that his speed and strength deserved to be crushed. Isagi did not reply, since their relationship was poor to begin with. Kaiser then began to imagine a role for Hyoma in his play, deciding to give him the role of the knight who tries to kill the king. He then turned to Isagi mockingly and said, "I'll lose interest in you soon, you idiot." Isagi pretended not to care, but inside he felt frustration for having achieved nothing so far. He admitted that Manchester City's speed and pressure were far stronger than he expected, as Chris had trained them well and prepared them to apply full match pressing from start to finish. All Isagi wanted was to get the ball away from the heavy pressure so he could think freely and make the best decision possible. Kaiser interrupted his thoughts, asking sarcastically whether he had a plan or if the Blue Lock hero was in trouble. Isagi snapped back and told him to shut up and stay out of his thinking. But what happened next was surprising. Kaiser deliberately passed him the ball and told him that his moment had come, demanding that he entertain the crowd. Isagi immediately understood that Kaiser wanted to set him up, but he resolved to make him regret that pass. Ryo stood in his way, and Isagi admitted to himself that his current level didn't allow him to do everything alone, so he decided to cooperate with Corona. The ball reached Corona, who declared that he had chosen to stand by Isagi from now on, and Isagi replied that he would rely on him. Through quick 1-2 passes, they managed to get past Ryo, who could not keep up with their constant movement. When the ball was with Corona, Isagi used those seconds to scan the field and position himself optimally. He likened himself to a planet orbiting Corona, who moved like a steady star, making their advance on the right flank unstoppable. The two completely dominated the right side. Ryo requested additional support, and backup quickly arrived, turning it into 3 players against 2, making it necessary for Isagi to add another element to the attack to distract the defenders. The best option was Kunigami, as Manchester City's players would be cautious after the goal he scored in the previous match, so he used him as bait, and as soon as the defenders moved toward him, Isagi would find the space he needed to break through. The plan was perfect for him. He passed the ball to Corona and advanced toward the empty space. Corona understood his role well and recognized what Isagi was planning, sending him a perfect ball into the right spot. Isagi saw it as a brilliant pass, and all he had to do was shoot. But suddenly, Kaiser intervened and stole the ball from him. It was well known that Kaiser did not allow anyone to take his balls, and now the two were tied in steals. He mocked him, asking if that was his perfect plan, and said he had overestimated him. Ness, the loyal servant, was delighted by what he saw. Isagi realized that Kaiser had been watching him from the beginning, and that his earlier pass had been nothing but a trap to steal the ball at the moment Isagi thought he would achieve something. Kaiser controlled the ball and placed it before him, telling Isagi that his scenario had become boring and that he was expelled from his play. But suddenly Hyoma appeared, knocked the ball away from Kaiser, and told him that his style was boring enough to put the audience to sleep and that he too was expelled from the theatrical stage. Isagi felt satisfied that Kaiser's attack had failed. This was the nature of the League of Egos, where personal interest always preceded the team. The ball rose high and headed toward Ryo, who received it skillfully. This time he decided not to attack himself, but to give the opportunity to his teammates Nagi and AGI, triggering a fast and lethal counterattack. Ryo passed the ball forward in a Rin style, and Ness failed to intercept it, while Burke and Ali tried to corner Nagi and prevent him from controlling it. However, Nagi used his body to block them, which surprised Isagi. The person known for his laziness inside the facility had no one expect that he had trained his body with such seriousness. Nagi received the ball with the goal behind him, and since acrobatic moves were useless against professional defenders, he decided to bypass them using a conventional style. He took a step back and then penetrated the space quickly, which shocked Isagi because Nagi had been weak in dribbling, but it seemed he had recently focused on strengthening his weaknesses until he became capable of building an attack rather than just finishing it. Chris had taught him how to create his own goal without waiting for a pass from Ryo or anyone else, and his new role was to participate in the attack from the start, making him more dangerous than ever before. Back on the first day of training, Chris had asked him a direct question. What did he want to achieve as a football player? His answer had been superficial. He said he wanted to defeat Isagi. Chris asked if he meant that boy known inside Blue Lock and if he considered him a true rival, and Nagi answered affirmatively. Chris then asked how he imagined his path to victory over him, but Nagi had no clear answer, thinking only of doing anything to avoid defeat. Chris told him that this was not enough reason to become the best in the world. Nagi replied that he did not care about being the best. All he wanted now was to surpass Isagi. Chris continued asking questions, inquiring how he usually scored goals, and Nagi said he used his instincts to control the ball and then shoot. Chris asked how the ball reached him, and Nagi replied that he had never thought about it, and that the ball usually came through passes from Ryo or Isagi. Chris was surprised by these rudimentary answers and asked if that was all he knew about football. Nagi confirmed it, as he had not been interested in the game. Chris then thought to himself that Nagi was a genius, unaware of his own value, having reached this advanced stage with very little knowledge, and decided to teach him the fundamentals from scratch. They began analyzing data, and Chris discovered that Nagi's strongest weapon was ball reception, but at the same time, it made him most vulnerable because when receiving, his body was in its weakest position as he had to relax his muscles for flexibility. Chris admitted that Nagi surpassed him in flexibility and body control, but suffered from severe weakness in creativity due to his heavy reliance on his partner's passes. If the pass was good, he scored a goal. If it was bad, the attack failed. This meant he could not convert a weak pass into a goal. He was worthless without a good partner. Although this upset Nagi, he admitted it was true, but Chris, as always, did not stop at criticism. He offered a solution. He told him that his abilities gave him the capacity to imagine goals no one else could, and all he had to do was build a body capable of turning that imagination into reality. A youth team player named AGI joined this training program because he was impressed by Nagi's talent, and Chris did not hesitate for a moment, excited to see the results. Returning to the present, Nagi advanced with the ball, and AGI stood before him. Thoughts crowded Nagi's mind, and he felt that creativity was exhausting. He passed a high ball toward AGI. As for him, his imagined goal started from this pass. AGI leapt high as if he had wings, making everyone think he would head the ball, but he executed an unexpected move and returned the ball to Nagi with his foot. Nagi received it with his left foot, but Burke pressed him hard to unbalance him. However, Nagi had the ability to receive and shoot even under the toughest conditions. Nevertheless, Yokimiya intervened at the last moment, saving the goal from certain scoring, astonishing everyone. Nagi told Yokimiya that he had changed a lot, as he was not the type to play roughly, and Yokimiya replied that Nagi himself had changed and shed his laziness. Nagi answered that he was still developing. The ball became a corner, and AGI approached Nagi, telling him he would rate his last attack 8 out of 100, which shocked Nagi. He asked why, as the goal had not been far, but AGI explained that the attack had been flawed from the start because his pass was too strong, and no one else could have received it. Nagi said he deliberately made the pass strong to prevent any defender from stopping it, but AGI clarified that if the pass had been more precise, the ball would have reached him faster, and no one could have prevented his goal. Nagi stood puzzled and told AGI to instruct him on what to do. Isagi could not believe what he saw. AGI was literally teaching Nagi football in the middle of the match. Then he realized that AGI was trying to reshape Nagi's way of thinking, because he had been accustomed to playing in a manner matching Ryo's style, which had made his movements predictable to those who knew him. Ryo approached Isagi and told him it was natural for everyone to enjoy cooperating with Nagi, who had been talented from the start. He explained that he was the first to play alongside him. Then came Isagi, and now AGI, and with every new partnership, Nagi grew stronger. Ryo saw that if Nagi could get through this stage without breaking psychologically, he would be reborn as the greatest genius in the world of football. And here, friends, we conclude. Stay tuned for the continuation of the events in the upcoming episodes. Thank you for watching and take care.